can you indulge me for a moment? How many of you have ever been in a relationship that was going really great and then you messed it up for no good reason? It does happen to the best of us. Has it happened to anyone in the room here? What about you, Holly?
Oh, several times.
You messed it up?
I take some accountability for it.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. This is our special guest, Holly Cotton, and she's going to be joining me. Today, we're talking about how to stop self-sabotaging your relationships. We'll figure out why we do it and chat about some real-life ways to fix it with our special guest, Holly Cotton. Since you already said something, just go ahead and say hello to our guest.
Hey, everyone. I'm Holly Cotton. I'm excited to be here. I love talking about self-love, relationships, all that great stuff. So excited for the conversation.
As I mentioned, our show topic today is entitled, How to Stop Sabotaging Your Relationships. We're here with our special guest, nurse, professor. Are you a professor?
I am a college professor as well, yes.
Professor, breast cancer survivor, author, fitness instructor, and podcast host. I haven't said all of that.
That was a lie.
My mouth is still juicy because there's so much. Actually, I'm waiting to introduce you so I can take a sip of water. But anyway, today as our special guest, we have Holly Cotton in the house. Holly is the host of The Holly Cotton Show. She has a master's degree in nursing, is a 3-time author, life and wellness coach, media personality. She's also a personal trainer and has used her medical knowledge to not only elevate her nursing career, but to become a renowned health and fitness authority. Holly Cotton, welcome to Love and Black with Tori and Teri.
Thank you. That's me.
That's look, I said a mouthful earlier. That was a mouthful. How you
so
get
that's
all
why
that
I'm so tired all the time. That's why I'm always tired. No,
hey, are you Jamaican?
No, but everyone says I am. They're like, "Are you Jamaican?" I'm like, "Hey,
I got 10 jobs, man. How many jobs you got?" I got 10 jobs. Actually, how many is that? How many jobs?
It's a bunch, and it just marketing, PR, everything. Holly Cotton, HC Media. It's all me. So,
really?
Yep.
So producer, director, researcher, all of that.
Yep. It's either me or one of my 2 assistants, AKA children. But
welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, your background is quite diverse, and with a master's degree in nursing, authorship, life coaching, and media presence, can you share with our listeners how you seamlessly integrate all of these facets of your life and your work?
Yeah, super easy answer. So I feel like whenever you are aligned with your passion, you wind up doing things that are part of your passion. So my
It don't even feel like work, does it?
It doesn't. So my passion has always been to help people and to be the change. And I feel like I have had these people in my life who were instrumental at a certain point. And so for me, that always made me say, you know what? I want to be that person for someone else. Mm-hmm. So my whole life, that's what I've just tried to do, be that person, whether it be offering medical advice, taking care of people, and then now, being an author, giving people realistic advice, whatever it is, it's about being the change. So everything just follows that. But yeah, I say my story started off 2018. I am a breast cancer survivor. Woo-hoo. And still here. So, thank you. So 2018, I just decided to write a book. I was diagnosed in 2012, went through my whole recovery process, did all of that. And then, and so I had sort of become an advocate for mental health, for breast cancer. There's a lot of parts of going through a traumatic situation, such as cancer, whatever it is. I call it a life survivorship. But there's a lot of parts of that people don't see. So I sort of became an advocate, a mental health advocate, and just like, what am I going to do? How am I going to use this and help other people? So I just started talking about it. And then 2018, I decided to write a book about my autobiography, Strong More Than Muscles. It was about my story with cancer. And 2019 got it published, and here we are, 4 years later. And it's just, I started getting people emailing me like, oh my gosh, I read your book, or I gave your book to my mom, or I gave, your book was so helpful. It was funny. I couldn't put it down, and I was like, wow, maybe this is something that I should do. So now I've just release my third book, but I mean, it's just
that the third book
yeah,
here?
yeah, right here, Somebody's Wife or Not. Somebody's Wife or Not. Yeah, so I mean, I started my podcast beginning of last year, 2022, and I mean, here we are with thousands of streams and everything else, and it's kind of surreal sometimes, and I have to, when people talk about me, I'm like, oh Lord, they talking about me.
Gotcha. You mentioned that you went from being diagnosed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you went right into becoming an advocate and writing a book and things. Am I missing a piece here? Where was your support system?
So I feel like whenever you go through a traumatic event, there are two types of people who deal with it. And I say all the time, whenever I'm speaking to people about surviving, I explain that cancer was a chapter of my life, and a lot of people get stuck in that traumatic event and they can't get out of it. And it defines everything about them, because a lot of people will say, well, you don't lead with cancer, or you do. And I'm like, because that was chapter 15. I'm on chapter 9,832 right now. I can't just stay there. However, that was a chapter of my book. So I feel like when you have a traumatic event, a lot of times either someone will get over it, embrace it, grow from it, use that story to inspire others, or they will go through it and say, I'm done. I survived it. I never want to live it again. So anyone that goes through something, it's either one of the two.
You have a choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, my choice was, let me use this and see how I can help other people. So I started talking to, my doctor would give my phone number to people, women that were recently diagnosed, and men that were recently diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer, liver cancer, lung cancer, whatever it is, cancer. And so then it just became easy. And so that's why I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I've told my story so many times. Maybe I should write a book about it.
Yeah.
And then,
we've been focused on either the fund drive this month or the fact that it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but this is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I just want to give a shout out to all the survivors, all the bell ringers. Matter of fact, my best friend, he just went through an experience with cancer, and I'm glad to say that he has rung the bell, and he's in his post-treatments and all, and everything's looking fine. So shout out to you, James. You are. So I just want to acknowledge those out there that are either going through it and are survivors. And those of you that are going through it, we have an inspirational person right here that can guide you, walk you through, and things like that. Now the therapist hat is coming out in me. You seem like a people pleaser.
no, not at all.
Really?
I don't care what anyone thinks of me.
No. That's not. I don't mean that in a negative way.
I thought you were saying I'm worried about people's opinion about me.
No.
People pleaser usually means that.
Okay. Yeah, from a different point of view.
Okay.
A people pleaser is somebody that puts others before them all the time, that always thinking about someone else versus themselves. But you don't either get that in return, or you have so much anxiety about being a people pleaser. So I guess that doesn't apply here. I'll take my counseling hat off.
No, not at all. Honestly, I feel like I have a big heart, and anything that I do has nothing to do about making you feel better or making this person feel better, or. But
that's what inspiration is. No.
I do it from. It's just natural for me.
Yeah. So
I don't go out searching on how to make you feel better. If you come to me with a problem, my mentality is always, okay, so what are we going to do to fix it? Do you come to me? Well, all right, so what are we going to do? We're not staying. I'm not that friend that's going to rub your back and be like,
I really wish my wife was here today, because her saying, whether it's talking to our children or whether it's therapy, her saying is cry for 5 minutes and get a plan.
Right.
Because you can't live in there, and that's what we tell all of our counselees. You can't live in this place.
Right.
That's why you're here. That's why you're talking to us. That's why you're going through therapy, because you don't want to live in that place. And when you're in a dark place, and I say this all the time, when you're in a dark place, you can't make decisions from dark places. And so many people make decisions in dark places and come out with results that they never intended or whatnot, because they. Did I say whatnot? You're supposed to catch me when I'm using filler words. Anyway, I was talking to my intern. We had a laugh about that on Monday. But anyway, yeah, you definitely don't want to be in dark places. And if you are, it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay to read a book. It's okay to journal, to get these things out.
You have to have your outlet, correct.
You have to have an outlet because all that internalizing, what we call negative energy, and it manifests itself into negative energy, i.e. depression, stress, anxiety, all of those things.
Yeah, or just from my perspective as well. I mean, and again, I'm a nurse on this side of it, but just being as a mental health advocate, I feel like those come off as toxic behaviors in other relationships as well. And so a lot of times I think that people who are in a bad mood, that's a defense mechanism. People people that attack other people, talk negatively about other people, do those negative traits and treat people a certain way. I feel like that's a way of me realizing that you got some stuff going on with you on the inside that you need to deal with.
Yeah.
Not me at all. Not me at all.
Gotcha. I didn't mean anything
negative
about.
I was like, oh, people pleaser. No, that's not me. But I get it now. Yeah. Yes. Usually when you say it, it does. Sometimes it can have like
a
everything.
Negative connotation.
Everything you do is about making someone else. But no. I just do it because it's just natural for me to do it.
Yeah. So like you with all these different hats, that was one of the hats I put on. I'm like, hold on, I'm observing something here. And like I said, I didn't hear about your support system. All I hear is, oh, I got this. Oh, let me help others, which is an awesome thing. That's what we're supposed to do. Scripturally, we're supposed to love one to another. So you're doing those things. And what was your track for healing? Did you progress faster than?
No, not at all. So again, I did, and I try to be very transparent, and that's why I said I wrote my book, because I wanted people to understand that there is a recovery process that everyone goes through. There is a humbling that comes with having something that you can't control. And cancer or any type of sickness or any type of traumatic event, you have no control over it. So I was like, let me tell my story, because I did go through depression as well, because you get so caught in a fight. I have to fight for my life. I have to fix this right now. And then, how am I going to survive? What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen to work? Like you're so obsessed with the how is this going to happen? You're not even focused on what happens if I do survive. And then you do survive, and now you're like, oh my gosh.
Next chapter.
Yes, right. So I survived. Now what's here? Okay, I look different. I have scars now. Now I have treatment. Now I have this. Now there's this gap of time where I couldn't be a mom to my kids, and their grades are going down because I wasn't there to help with homework. So there's a lot of emotions that come with it. A lot of women that go through breast cancer, there's a sadness and a depression because you can't take care of other people. You feel selfish because you have to take care of yourself. Maybe you don't allow yourself time to heal. So, there's a lot of other avenues of it that people don't talk about. It's like, it's not just you go and you get a tumor removed and you lose your hair and you ring a bell. Okay, that's one part of it. But then after, there's a level of loss of function. There's just so many things, and not seeing your body the same way. A lot of women
can't eat properly. Well, not properly, but you can't eat.
You can't eat, and they lose weight. Their body is. It's just a tons of stuff. So I went through that. 2012 was the end of 2012 was when I was diagnosed. So we're talking about 13, 14. Finally, I'm over it. 15, I'm starting to feel better. I'm doing this. And then 2018 is when I wrote a book. So, it was several years later, but I feel like that was part of my acceptance and healing, because I said, oh, you know what? It no longer hurts me to tell this story. It no longer has a control over me where I feel a certain way. I'm not ashamed of it, So it's just an embracement after that.
Okay. I appreciate you sharing, and I thank you for that. I had several other questions, but you kind of covered everything within those questions. So let's jump to our topic here.
Yes, that's enough about me. Let's talk about you guys.
Not us.
No, the listeners. I
got you. I'm just playing.
We know we good, Tori. We perfect. We don't need.
I'm just playing. Anyway, listeners, have you found yourself in a relationship where things were going just great well, swell, all those things. But somehow you ended up self-sabotaging it. You're not alone. It happens to many of us. Holly mentioned it, that she was a perpetrator of such of such a thing. So it wasn't that I was one, but I was involved in a relationship after I got divorced. I was dating around. I dated this woman, and we were kicking it, having a really good time and everything. And then, we were in it for a couple months, and then all of a sudden she started tripping. Accusing me of cheating, accusing me of all kind of things, right? Even though I wasn't, but she was doing all these things. And I'm like, what's going on here, right? And I had a conversation with her because it was just ongoing, and I was about to bounce. So I said, let me give her one more. Look, let me try one more again.
It's always that one more chance. It's like, why do we do that?
Don't know, but gave it one last college try. And she admitted that since she was a child, things always went wrong for her. So it was like one of those situations where, I'm going to call myself fat before somebody else does because,
Coping mechanism.
Yeah, coping mechanism. And that's exactly what it was. She would get in relationships, have a good relationship going, and then all of a sudden she felt that she wasn't worthy or wasn't supposed to be in this relationship or whatever her reasoning was. But anyway, she explained that to me, and I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Right?
That part.
Yeah, and this was before I became a counselor. And so I'm looking at her like, you got problems, right? So anyway, don't try to project your stuff on me. But I was involved in a relationship like that. And that's when I really first came to either not terms with it, but came to even know that particular term about self-sabotaging. So that actually happened to me. You mentioned earlier in the show that you were I said perpetrator, I was just joking, but you were the facilitator. You want to tell your story or not?
Well, I feel like, so it's so funny that you said that because I have a chapter in my new book, Somebody's Wife or Not, available on all platforms. And
she's Jamaican. No offense to the Jamaicans.
Yeah. And so I have a chapter and it's about submission. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so in submission, I talk about how people have this, I guess, stereotype of what submission is because they think submission means servitude and everything else. And so I say that whenever you're thinking about that with someone that you care about, you need to look at what are those triggers where you feel like certain traits are submissive. Mm-hmm. So what I define as submissive is not what you define as submissive or whoever else, because for me, there are certain things that submission for me would be maybe trusting you to get us from point A to point B. So for me, that's huge being a person.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
No, you just reminded me of something. But go ahead.
Okay. Oh, he's Googling directions. But so for me, that's that. When I talk about that, when we're talking about triggers, I say, what is it that the last person left you with where now you think that this is bad for you to do? This is a form of whatever. And one thing is men, well, I'm not taking care of no woman. I'm not giving her no money. I'm not doing this. And so is it that you took care of someone and they didn't appreciate you, so now you're like, I'm never going to take care of another person? Or it's a woman, well, if a man doesn't open the door for me, that's a red flag. I'm out of here. That's a trigger for you. Why? Why is that? Because maybe the person that you was with didn't make you feel like you could relax. They would take care of you. You know what I mean? There's so many things that come with that. So I think that's what, when we're talking about triggers and all of that.
Speaking of triggers, I think Black social media was triggered this whole week. Actually from last, I think it stemmed from last week. You know where I'm getting ready to go? First of all, ain't nothing wrong with Cheesecake
Factory. And baby,
Factory.
take me to Cheesecake. My men know. They know. I love me some Cheesecake Factory.
You know what I really love about Cheesecake Factory is that I have a particular dish that I get from there, and it's not on the menu anymore, but all I do is ask for it, and they bring it out.
Yeah, see, you got VIP at Cheesecake Factory and everything.
See, and I'm dating myself here, but back in the day, Red Lobster and Sizzler used to be the jump.
Hey, don't talk about Sizzler. And I was so funny. We were driving. I don't even know what city we were in. And I was with my daughter, and I saw a sign that said Sizzler. And I was like, oh, my God.
Was it one of those?
Potato bar?
Yeah.
Couldn't tell me nothing.
What's the Sizzler? What was it? Was the building still there with the sign?
It was,
but
and
closed?
it said Western Sizzler on it.
Yeah, I don't know where the Western part come from, but
yeah.
But back in the day, it was Red Lobster for a first date.
Give me my cheddar biscuits.
Ooh, yeah, the biscuits. Yes. All you can eat them tiny miniature shrimp.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not hating on it.
Is that an oxymoron? Miniature shrimp.
Yes, but I think so. For that, I think that, and I got into a conversation. I'm gonna tell you this because I do date.
Okay.
So I get a lot of male input on a lot of topics, sometimes unwarranted. But so the one gentleman, we were talking about it, and he said, I told him about the things that I'm trying to instill in my daughter. And so we wound up talking about that, and he said, well, what is it that you're trying to leave your daughter with? What kind of life is she trying to have if she has this? And I said, listen, I'm all for people having realistic standards. And I feel I just wrote a book, Discovering Self-Love in Single Life. So I can't talk.
Book number 3?
No, that's this one. That's the subheading of somebody's wife or not, Discovering Self-Love. But how can you love yourself and not have standards and not have requirements? There's nothing wrong with that.
First of all, how can you love somebody else without loving yourself? You have to be able to love yourself. But in loving yourself, you have to have values.
Yes.
You have to have standards. You have to have...
I call them requirements.
Exactly.
So, yes. But, yeah, it's so funny.
I'm sitting here looking for the list. I thought I had...
Yes, I know. It's got to be somewhere. But Cheesecake Factory was on it.
Well, hold on. First of all, a lot of places were on it, right?
Yes.
And
I'm going to look too while we're talking.
And this is long time ago, especially, baby, if you're listening. But back in the day, if we want to go like to Steak 42 or something, something happening that night.
Nobody got money for that. Oh, here it. Okay, I got it.
Something happening that night after dinner. So
Cheesecake Factory, Applebee's, Chili, Chipotle, Olive Garden, Buffalo Wild Wings, Red Lobster, church, the gym, coffee dates. Right now, you ain't taking me to Chili's, but I'll go to Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory's like $100.
I don't do Chili's, and I don't do Red Lobster anymore because
I've
upgraded.
The vibes have changed. Yes, we elevated in life.
Definitely. But what's not on that list? I mean, it's like, okay, these are places you don't want to go. And I have to say, the women that put that list together, literally, what are you bringing to the table other than self-sabotaging a relationship before you even get into one? And in addition to that, what about the lady that had gone on the first date for drinks, ordered 4 dozen oysters?
Oysters, right.
4 dozen, and was videoed, and she was slurping. I saw the video. I'm like, I wouldn't want to. Really?
Yeah, that ain't sexy. But wait a minute. Let me just say this for the ladies, Tori. Let me just say this because I got to also defend my girls. But
here we go.
Whenever you
Rico, get ready to hit the beat button.
Whenever you talk about... Whenever you talk about what do you bring to the table. So this is what I was explaining to the gentleman. And I said, listen, when I go on a date, I'm not reaching for my wallet ever.
You shouldn't have to.
No, okay, but let me just tell you, times are different, Tori. Times are different. So I explained that to my daughter. And I said, listen, when you go out on a date, and this is my daughter's second year of college, I said, you need to know what you bring to the table. And when I go out, I am not going to pay because, first of all, you asked me out. Yeah. You're a gentleman. I'm bringing to you conversation. You could be at home on Instagram or whatever else.
What about this in the restaurants on the first date?
I'm just saying. So I'm bringing me. I know what I have. Like, first of all, you're looking at me. I mean, I'm not ugly, so that you got vibes right there. I have great conversation. You're gonna laugh. I eat regular food. I'm not ordering a salad like we're gonna
oysters.
Or oysters.
Give me 4 dozen oysters.
Yes. So for me, I know my value, and I think that when women are saying what I bring to the table, it gets grayish. Because what they're trying to say is that I know my value and I know what I require from someone else. But it comes off as, well, I know what I bring to the table. You know, so I think it's kind of maybe the verbiage.
It comes off as self-centered. It comes off as bougie.
But I got to defend the women. I got to defend. Know your worth. Know your worth.
And I'm a huge proponent of women and men knowing their worth, right? Especially doing the type of work I do, right? But when I saw that list, I'm going, well, you take your over and get your own food, right? You know, we can go to Jack in the Box or something.
And I also think here, and another problem with that is that I think that for me, I'm not going to be poor. I make my own money. So for you to feel like a restaurant is going to impress me, it's not, because I have my own. So a lot of times you have maybe some women who maybe haven't established their own brand yet, their own financial security, their own stuff. So for them, they need to feel valued. They need to feel spoiled. They need to feel invested in. For me, I need other things. So that could also be a form of their love language as well. For me, you're not going to impress me, and you're definitely not going to bring me home because you brought me to an expensive dinner.
I'm trying to think of which one of the 5 love languages would that be? 2 things.
Yes.
Well, 3 things. One, and this is me.
Let me remember what you're saying. Okay.
So
Number one.
This is me telling my daughters this. If you go on a date with someone, you bring your own money.
Oh, I say that all, and I tell my daughter, if he makes you have to pay or you anything sketchy's going on, baby, drop your location and take an Uber. I'm on my way.
So you bring, even if you're on a date with a wealthy guy or a rich dude or whatever, you bring your own. Don't let him know. But for security purposes and for safety
because you're not
reasons.
going to leave me or my daughter somewhere correct.
Exactly.
Yes, good advice, Dad.
Exactly.
Good advice.
Anyway, 4 girls, 2 sons.
Yes.
So anyway, and 2 interns. So, but anyway, that's one thing. 2, the list. First of all, these women came up with this list too easy, right? So I'm willing to believe that, and I'm surrounded by women. Help, Rico. Before I say this, I'm surrounded by women here, but I have a funny suspicion. I know I'm watching what I'm saying. I have a funny suspicion that these women are at these places on a regular, and that's why they don't.
No, and that's what I'm saying. So
no,
so
I mean on a regular, like this is all I can afford.
And that's why. So, and what did I just say? When you don't have your own yet, or when you're still in that
you rely on other folks.
You want someone to show you something else. You want someone to take you out. You sort of invest your value into how much money someone spends on you. So I think it's just part of the shift.
Where's the value in that? Oh Lord. Anyway. We have my third thing is we have our poll. Zariah, you want to talk about the poll? Yeah, we have
a poll because I don't remember. It's Tori that's talking bad, not Holly.
I'm not talking bad.
So when you guys come to
Rico,
to stone someone, let me get to my car safely.
Rico, this is not a drill. My back's against the wall.
He's behind the bulletproof window.
I know, right? Look, my back against the wall. This is not a drill. I need help.
I had the girls back.
Help me. Go ahead, Zariah.
Okay, so for the poll this week, we had, do you consider self-sabotage a trauma response? And we have 100% again, yes.
What? But you know what? It is a trauma response. And like Holly mentioned earlier, coping mechanism, which is also a trauma response. So thank you for that. And, in talking about trauma responses or even just mental health from that perspective anyway, I'm going to give you guys some common signs of self-sabotage in a relationship. I was just going to say,
you should define what sabotage is.
Sabotage is going against your best interests and doing something that you shouldn't be doing in a relationship, in as far as I'm going to name someone. Fear of commitment, for instance, right? A self-sabotager may avoid taking that next step in a relationship, such as moving in together, such as putting a title on what the relationship is, anything, because they have an underlying fear of commitment. So that's a form of self-sabotaging right there. Pushing loved ones away. Just like, even though I didn't love that woman I was dating at the time, because we didn't get a chance to get to that point, but she was pushing me away, and I'm like, I thought we was having a great time here. But that's a form. Perfectionism, when somebody is so perfect, just like these women that want to go to, I'm talking about the list. I'm not pointing at anyone in particular.
I'm checking the door, you guys. Make sure no one's coming in on the back end.
Again, I'm surrounded by women in here. So, and anyway, if my wife was here, you know what I would say to her when she gave me that look. I would be like, hey, you know who you married? So anyway, insecurity and jealousy is another form. So these are things that we really need to look out for in a relationship when we either ourselves or our partners are exhibiting these types of behaviors. Right? Procrastination is one. Seeking flaws in another person, overshadowing your partner's good qualities, right? Always downing it. That's a form of self-sabotage. Again, it's anything that goes against what you're trying to do, what you're intending to do. So in the relationship. So these are self-destructive behaviors that just, lead to failed relationships, inadequacy in you, because you're going to take, whatever you were doing in this relationship into your next one if you don't get the help you need. These are just things that, just don't belong in a relationship. Do you have any?
I would love to.
She wrote a book about it. Want to hear about it?
Yeah. So this is what I just want to say for that, as far as self-sabotage. And I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. So I think a lot of times whenever people like you guys are talking about relationships and you see all of these other podcasts and shows about relationships. And I think what happens is not everyone wants to be in a relationship. But
they want to be with someone.
Companionship. And I say that. Companionship, everyone wants companionship. But what happens is there's so much pressure, which is why I wrote my book, Somebody's Wife or Not, because I say not everyone wants to be a wife. So I'm like, here we are, and you have all of these people and all of these things telling you how to be a wife, but no one's telling you that it's okay if you aren't. No one's telling you that it's okay for you to embrace being single. No one's telling you, hey, you're in the single chapter right now, and let's start with loving you. Let's start with learning how to communicate. Let's start dealing with your ego. And that's what my book talks about, but that's what I try to do, because I want people to understand it's okay to be single. Yeah. I love being single. Do I have companions? Yes. Do I have a main companion? Do I have people that I can talk to? I love it. But for me, I was married for 17 years. I don't need to be married again. I don't desire to be married again. Now, companionship, yeah. When I'm lonely, I'm going to go meet my friend. When when I want to have dinner, I want to have fun. Great.
Time for our letter of the day. And as always, if you have a letter, an issue, or a topic of interest you'd like to share or understand better, send them to us at info@lovingblackwithtoriandterry.com, or go to lovingblackwithtoriandterry.com, click on radio show, and complete the form. All right. Letter of the day. Listen closely.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's see what they talking about.
All right. Dear Tori and Teri, we are a couple in our mid-30s who have been together for a few years. I have a history of undermining my own well-being and happiness due to my deep-seated jealousies and insecurities. I constantly feel that my boyfriend is too good for me and that he might leave me for someone else. How can I stop putting myself in these types of situations and be happy with who I am? That's exactly like what I was going through with that situation I explained earlier. So we do thank you for reaching out to Loving Black. And, it does take a lot of courage to open up about your experience and even to admit these things right here, right? So before I go into the letter, Holly, you want to respond?
Yeah, first, she definitely needs my book.
She needs the book.
She definitely needs Discovering Self-Love in Single Life. But I think
available on Amazon.
Anywhere, Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, Target.com, Walmart.com, anywhere that sells books.
Hold on, you get a lot of plugs here. We ain't getting no money from them.
Thank you. So I think that the key, and see, this is the problem as well. You're not ready to be in a relationship when you come with all of that, because You have to come, and I say this all the time. First of all, healing is a everyday investment.
Yes.
You're never going to be healed. I said that not too long ago when I was on a show, and I said if someone says they're healed, they're lying, because healing is an everyday process.
Just like education.
Yes,
Education
you
is
have to
ongoing.
make a decision every day to be healed. So I feel like she needs to heal before. So I'm healing, you're healing, and now we're coming in whole.
Yeah.
And whenever you're doing that, it's not fair to a partner, because every day I have to be working on you. Babe, how you feel today? Babe, you feeling insecure about this? Now I got to let you go through my phone. I have to do all of these things. She has to figure out how to love herself and know her worth.
How do you feel about that, going through someone's phone?
I personally don't need to do that. I don't care enough.
What do you think about when you hear other people?
When I think it's insecurity, and I think what they need to do is they need to identify what behavior happened in the past that makes them feel like they need to do that. So what you did before to that person, did you cheat? Were you too flirty with someone? Did you do something? Or is it that you were cheated on in a last relationship and now you need to feel secure? So there is a reason for that. Yes. Yeah. And it's either, like I said, it could be you were doing something. Maybe you weren't on the up and up when we started this, or you had other girls. Maybe I stole you from another girl and now you're with me. So are you still? It's just too many things. Oh my God.
You know, and this is so true. However you got your woman, it's the way that you'll lose your woman.
Facts.
Right? Those are facts, and people may not realize that, but I think back in the day, and I think back with other people I know, when they do those types of things, I mean, it comes back. So if you got your woman, you took your woman from somebody else, guess what? Somebody's going to take her from you. I don't know why that is.
She belongs to the streets.
Ooh. Not the streets. Anyway, hey, thank you for sharing that. With the letter here, first of all, I really appreciate the fact, again, that you acknowledge your insecurities and your jealousies, because that's always a first step. That's always a first step, right? And it's a first step to not just accepting it, but wanting to change. Right. So by virtue of you accepting that, by virtue of you writing this letter, you want help. Right. Which is great. So I would first begin working on self-acceptance for you. And then, like Holly said, your self-worth. Because you have to be worthy of yourself before you can be in any type of relationship. You have to be able to love yourself, love who you are. And you do this by treating yourself with kindness, just as you would if you were helping your friend. If your friend was in this situation and you would be like, girl, I don't know what to do. Well, let me tell you what you need to do. You know, we always have advice for other people, but we don't use it on ourselves, right? So also, when you're having negative thoughts, respond with self-compassion. Recognize that you're not perfect. No one is perfect, right? And it's okay to be flawed. So when you're doing these things, replace those negative thoughts. First of all, find the evidence of the negative thought. If you can't find any evidence of it, displace it, just remove it from your mind, replace it with a positive thought. I got this saying, I've been using it forever. PMA. Positive mental attitude, all right? And I'm not saying that you have to be positive all the time, because there is something called positive toxicity. So when you're just too happy,
which is also a defense mechanism, because you're like, I'm not letting anything get to me. Can I just say something else to Tori, to what you were saying? I just want to say this. I love that you're so positive and you're like, it's so great, self-acceptance and everything. But I also just want to say that I think that it is very selfish to ask of that from someone else. And if you know, let's be realistic as well. We love the growth. We love that you identify it. You're trying to deal with those behaviors, those, like you said, toxic traits, whatever you want to use as the adjective for it. But it's also selfish for you to expect someone to heal you. And it's hard for
you should never, unless they're a paid therapist.
But I'm saying, like, you're with this person now, And every day, can you imagine the stress that it is on them? Because now every day I have to worry about your feelings. We can't even be happy because you're so busy forcing me to have to make you happy because you're not happy yourself. So that's the other thing too. If you're not ready and you're requiring all those things from people, don't get in a relationship.
And, just to piggyback on what Holly said, as far as emotional connectivity with someone, wanting someone to meet your emotional needs, yes, we want our partners to be able to meet, our emotional needs, but there's not one person here on earth that could meet any other person's all of their emotional needs.
Facts.
You're going to have some that are left out. You're going to have some needs that you have to work on yourself and be comfortable in the fact that, hey, I can't get this from this person, because you can't draw from an empty well, or empty vessel. So definitely look at look at how much you're requiring from this other person, and whether they can facilitate it or not. Because normally they can't, because they didn't have that instilled within them. So you can't get out of someone what they never had.
But I think that's also, I preach all the time about self-care. And I think that self-care is so important because it helps with those mental health disparities that you have with someone making you feel totally loved, totally something. Now I'm doing things where I feel better as a person. So it could be something, maybe she doesn't feel physically fit. Maybe go to the gym, fix that. It's like, those are things that you can do yourself. Eat better, eat, more.
So self-care.
Yeah, self-care. Go get a massage.
And soul care.
Yes.
Combine those two.
Right.
Was that your closing?
Sure.
Okay. You want to?
That's it for you.
That's it for you. No, I'm just kidding. Look, Holly, I really, really, really appreciate you being on the show today, and your insight was just terrific here. Can you tell people how they can reach you, how they can purchase your book?
Sure. So, super easy. Everything about me is Holly Cotton, HOLLYCOTTON. Website, hollycotton.com. My Instagram is hollycotton_. You can shoot me an email. My books are available. Google Holly Cotton. You can get them, like I said, anywhere. I have 3 books, Strong More Than Muscles, which is a book about my autobiography of overcoming cancer. I have another book called Day One, a guide to identifying, organizing, and executing any goals, which talks about your circle, daily habits, how to structure your life where you can be successful at whatever the goal is. And then my newest book is Somebody's Wife or Not, Discovering Self-Love in Single Life. And that's the one that I just said, there's funny stories in there. There's relationship stuff. There's scenarios that anyone can relate to. But it's also different little tidbits about how to look at certain situations that we deal with in order to make sure that we love ourselves more than we feel the need to be loved by someone else.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And we do reserve to have you come back.
Sure. Send them questions in. I'll be back. I'm going to get y'all right.
Yeah. Hey, look, instances of self-sabotage can have serious consequences on your relationships, no matter if they are personal or professional. And they oftentimes will lead to conflicts, emotional distress, and the deterioration of the partnership. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step toward addressing and overcoming self-sabotage. I suggest, if this is you that I'm speaking of, seek professional help, such as couples counseling or individual therapy, to address and overcome these issues, rebuild trust in your relationships, and strengthen your self-esteem. We want to thank again our guest, Holly Cotton, for joining us today. Join us next time for more conversations about things you care about. And don't forget to send us your thoughts, questions, or topic ideas. Just go to loveandblackwithtoriandterry.com, click on radio show, and drop us a line.